his expertise as an ESL teacher in Taiwan. Mr. Castillo, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Good night, Belize, and good morning once again, Taiwan. I have the pleasure of moderating the information technology panel today, and I think our coordinators today have done a stellar job at garnering a group of professionals that are very knowledgeable and capable in sharing their information today. And I think we should
This
give
meeting
them
is being recorded.
recognition for that. So I would like to first start by introducing our panelists, at which time after we will have a short introduction, and then we will get on to the question and answers. To begin, I would like to introduce Miss Bianca McFadden, who is a software developer, e-governance, and digitalization unit in Belize, and she is joining us via online from Belize. And I would like to also welcome Mr. John Rabatu, who is a systems analyst at the e-governance and digitalization unit, who is also in Belize currently. We also have Dr. Leonel Gonzalez, who is an assistant professor in Smart Sustainable Development and Management at National Taipei University, and Mr. Dale Neal, who is a current PhD candidate of Information Management, the Information Management Program at National Taiwan University of Science and Technology, and he is here present with us today in person. Thank you for being here. To begin with, I would like to ask our panelists to give a short introduction of yourselves. Please give us a short description of your educational background, what you currently do for work, and then we will continue from there. So first, I will give the floor to Ms. McFadden. Can you please give a short introduction, please?
Hi, my name is Bianca McFadden, and I'm a software developer at the e-governance and digitalization unit under the Ministry of Public Utilities, Energy, Logistics, and e-governance. In my early years, I attended St. Catherine Academy and later went on to St. John's Junior College to pursue an associate's degree in math and physics. While at SJCJC, I then realized that there was a computer information systems program, and being I was way more interested in IT, I decided, why not get another degree in something I love? So I decided to go for it, and I spent another 2 years at SJCJC. After completing my studies there, I was contemplating where I should go to further my education when inspiration came in the form of one of my friends, Ashley. She encouraged me to apply to the University of the West Indies, St. Augustine campus in Trinidad and Tobago. I was accepted and completed my bachelor's degree in computer science in 2015 and decided to come back home and start my professional career here in Belize. I applied to the Central Information Technology Office because it was familiar to me as I did a summer internship there. I was hired as a database administrator, and after a couple of years, I unofficially transitioned to a software developer as I had a passion for coding. As a software developer, I have learned to utilize various programming languages such as Java, C, C++, PHP, C#, JavaScript, CSS, and several others. We would also work with database servers and other tools that assist us in debugging and designing and building software that meets the needs of users. I improved my skill set as a dev by attending trainings, personal research, and interactions with fellow developers and coworkers. Although most trainings are virtual, I was fortunate to visit St. Lucia, Grenada, and Taiwan for several of those sessions. Recently, we have moved from the waterfall model to the agile culture. The agile culture is a change in the way we work and think as a response to the ever-changing needs of customers and stakeholders. Although change may be difficult, I have learned to embrace it because as a developer, we experience change as we transition from one module to another and one project to another. My years as a software developer has taught me several key concepts that I keep in mind. 1. Develop coding standards and follow them. 2. Documentation is crucial to debugging. And Do not reinvent the wheel. A package or tool may exist that does exactly what you need. So why do it? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. McFadden. Mr. Rabatu, can you please give us an introduction of yourself?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Wonderful. Thank you for the introduction. Greetings all. It is a pleasure to be here. Good morning in Taiwan. Good night here in Belize. My name is John Paul Rabato. I earned my engineering degree in computer science in Mexico in 1995. I've been working in Belize ever since. I currently work for the e-governance and digitalization department in the beautiful city of Belmopan. I'm from the wonderful neighborhood and quiet neighborhood of Corozal town. I have experience for the umpteen years in working in both public and private organizations. My current position as a system analyst and where I oversee projects as a project owner is similar to Bianca's as we work in an agile area, the change of culture. That is what e-governance does here in Belize. I'm excited to share my experience with you and I'm open to any questions. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you very much. Now we move on to Dr. Gonzalez. Can you please introduce yourself?
Okay, good morning, everyone. Okay, sir. I hope you're all doing well. My name is Lionel Francisco Gonzalez, and I am very excited to join this work forum. In terms of my background, I have a solid foundation in data analysis and machine learning. And over the past 4 years, I've had the opportunity to work on various projects in terms of academics, right? In statistical models and visualizations on how to apply this in actually real data, right? So in particular, I am passionate about leveraging data to drive informed decision making and enhance business outcomes. So my areas of interest within this forum will include like predictive modeling, natural language processing, and anomaly detection. I understand it's something very much, limited, I guess, in use maybe in Belize, but I believe that it will be something that will be very much crucial in terms of Belize's development, right, in the tech industry, right? So I really find data science and machine learning very much fascinating, and I'm always eager to explore new techniques and approaches. So I'm genuinely excited to learn from all of you and contribute to the discussion here. I believe that sharing our knowledge and experiences can help us grow both individually and collectively. I value the diverse perspectives that each member brings to the table and look forward to engaging in thoughtful and productive conversations. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Gonzalez. Now we give the floor to Mr. Neil.
Hello, hi everyone. My name is Dale Neal. Good morning to the ones in Taiwan. Good night to the ones in Belize. I am a PhD student currently at National Taiwan University of Science and Technology. A bit of my background, I'll mix it up really quick. I did a bachelor's and a master's degree in Taiwan, both in the area of business and technology. And then after that, I moved on and I worked at a Taiwanese company for over 4 years. And as both of the panelists mentioned about agile and technical documentation, I was a technical, I did technical background in terms of like the system that the company was working on. So we did in-vehicle system, small robotics, and system for bus design and tracking. So that was sort of like my area when I was working at that company. And then I moved on to do my PhD at this that I'm doing right now. I'm focusing a lot on human collaboration with AI. So basically what I did over the last 3 years, I worked on a robotics program with Microsoft, where we use one of their OpenCV camera, and we use object detection to count the amount of people coming into the university and going out, and so forth. And right now I'm working on a project called MyYogai, where it's sort of like one of the first AI designed yoga program where you can practice yoga without an instructor using object detection. And we came up with an algorithm that detects 18 points on your body. So later on I can share it and you guys can go on with it. Within that project, we've won 3 competitions within our first year. And recently we won an award where 2 of us will be going to Silicon Valley for 2 weeks to learn more about a little bit about object detection, machine learning, and a small part about robotics. So if you have any question in that area, I'll do my best to help you guys out. So thank you guys for having me.
Thank you very much as well, Mr. Neil. I would just like to remind our audience, if you are watching online, while we are discussing with the panelists, feel free to post your questions on the live feed. And also a reminder to our panelists, whenever a question is posed, if you have something to add to another panelist's comments or response, feel free to do so. Let it be a lively discussion. And to begin, I would like to ask if you can provide a bit more in-depth insight into your current job, the current job market, trends and opportunities that are available in Belize within your field. And this is geared towards Ms. McFadden and Mr. Rabatu.
Hi. So, currently, well, at our office, we're actually looking for other software developers. So the market is there for new software developers at eGov. And there are a lot of openings in government for database admins, software developers, and technical people such as that. So the market is there. It's here in Belize in government and some private also. So that exists. Well, currently right here with us at eGov. So you don't have to go far to apply for a software developer post if you're in Belize.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Rabatu, do you have anything you'd like to add?
Sure. Our section is basically structured in 2 areas. One is development and one is project management. As Bianca correctly said, there is opportunity in the development section, and there is also opportunity in the project management section. We are a new department. We were brought into existence 2 years now, or as you can see from the title, e-governance and digitalization. We have a lot of work here in Belize to do, so we need help. You guys that are out there studying and looking for something entertaining and challenging and that will change Belize to be better, give a better service to our citizens, this is where you can come and join us. Please do so. So we have the opportunities. It's just for you to want and to come in and join us. The opportunities are here in Belize, as Ms. Madfatson mentioned. Um, it's just that we need you to have that interest in joining and working together. That's what I can add right now.
Okay, thank you very much. And I will pose the same question to Mr. Neil and Dr. Gonzalez, if you'd like to share, if you have any information to share on the current job markets here in Taiwan or in Belize and the opportunities available within your fields.
Okay, I'll go first. When it comes to Taiwan, I think a vast majority of us, in terms of if you're a programmer, it's sort of like there's too many of us here. So you have to bridge yourself and sort of like what I did with the project that I'm doing for my PhD, where you become more of a designer, like an AI designer, where you construct the plan of how you're going to discuss with the engineers what to build. I already know coding. That's a small part of what we need to do. One of the biggest challenges that Taiwan has is people that do well in software, not just in the sense that they're programming it, but designing it, because most of their tools always fall apart. We've seen that over the years, because I've worked in the technical department for over 4 years, and that was one of my jobs, finding out the bugs, why did it go wrong, what happened. So just a simple example, we built different servers for different telecommunication companies around the world, but it's just the hardware. When we started our own program to try to build the software, it couldn't work. It was very difficult. And so it was me and another Canadian that had that job of finding out what are the difficulties in terms of how do we design this and how do we move forward. Taiwan is very, very good at hardware. They're excellent at hardware. Now, software is sort of like what they're trying to get at right now. It's one of the most difficult tasks. And for that, you need to think outside the box, like my ex-boss would always say. So you design the system in terms of how you see it, and then you discuss with the engineers how to move forward. It's sort of like a new area where I was told once they call it like an AI designer PM job, sort of. So the similar example I did with the website that I recently built, where I worked with two other a data scientist and an AI engineer, and I'm the guy who designed the entire setup of how it's going to work. And like that, there's a flow to it. So if you can adapt yourself in that area, I think you have a chance of entering the job market in Taiwan. But they have a lot of programmers here. They have a lot of engineers, fantastic engineers. Now, where do you see yourself and how do you fit in to get ahead? I think that's sort of like you use those years when you're in university to join different groups and then attach your idea of how you want to see your product move forward. And I think that's what I've been doing over the past 3 years, when I started my PhD. But again, those things take time, practice. And again, I think a lot of that developed within my 4 years of working as a technical assistant in terms of that year. I don't know if Lionel has something different to add.
Okay. Well, from my experience is that actually what Dave was saying is very important in the sense that he is actually inside the company itself, right? So he has maybe the ambition to grow and to learn more. He's like a sponge in there, right? So he's trying to get everything he can. And when the opportunity comes, he actually delivers, right? And I believe that what he has said, plus what I can add, is that to enter, for example, AI and machine learning, data science, it requires that you have a profile of projects that you are being working on for quite some time, actually. I also can encourage people who want to get into computer science and data science to try and get into GitHub, and you put your work in that platform so that these employers can see you, because our area of work is not just to show your qualification and you say, okay, I have this or that. So I learned, and maybe I might be mistaken, but my experience is that with my degree, it doesn't mean that I have one foot in the job market, right? So I have to show my work in the sense of a platform like GitHub, right, where they will see, okay, Lionel is working on anomaly detection, he's working on natural language processing, right? He has the experience, so I believe he can come into my workplace and do the work that I want, right? So I encourage anyone who wants to get into this kind of field, like what Mr. Dale said, to try and do that in order for them to be network or exposed, right, out there, right? Because that's one of the first things I learned as well. So, and that actually gave me the opportunity to kind of be seen in the university where I'm going to teach what I've learned. And I believe I will also learn and improve myself as a researcher and as a data scientist, right? Because I consider myself a data scientist as well, because I have worked with a number of projects in different areas of machine learning. So that's what I can share with the students or professionals that are online. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. And for those listening, well, now we have a little bit more of an understanding on what they do. And before we continue, we have a burning question here in our audience, and I will pass the time to Miss Myra.
Thank you so much, Amador. Yes, it's been burning for all this time. Mr. Roberto and Ms. McFadden, I know that you said there are positions open in the e-governance unit, but there was this doubt. I was speaking to one of our participants here during the coffee break, and they said, I'm not sure if I need to continue taking on internships. What do I need to work for 2 years, have 2 years experience, or get an internship, or continue towards my master's degree? How far should I study so that I will be considered for the job? What's the qualification required to work with you guys at the e-governance unit or any IT field in Belize? We would like to know this.
Thanks for the question. Mainly for the entry levels we're looking at, I know many times we're asking for experience, but what I believe is that once you have the capacity, the skills, and you are competent and confident, you can definitely, once given the opportunity, prove yourself, so to speak. Mainly, it would be a bachelor's degree for entry levels. Personally, I will. I finished with engineering degree here in Belize. It's accepted, I think, as a bachelor's. But regardless, once the opportunity was given, it was not given directly in my field when I started to work, but the door opened, and that door opened another door. So you might not get the correct or the exact profession that you want at the beginning, but if you continue and people see what you bring to the table, they will surely come knocking at your door and open that door for you to go in. So if it be an intern, if it be you are given the opportunity of working for, let's say, a couple months for a project, whatever it is, take it. And then once, as I said, once you prove yourself, believe me, other doors will open and you will get what you want. So all you need to do is be confident in yourself, and you should go good.
Following up to what Mr. John had mentioned, when I finished from UA, it was in 2015. I got a job like 3 months later, 2 months later, and the post had mentioned you have a bachelor's degree, so much years of experience, but I wouldn't say to let those things stop you when applying for jobs, because you would get an interview, you could prove yourself in the interview. Sometimes people are hired based on their confidence, based on what they know, what they say, how they approach a situation. So it's not basically you have to have everything that the post is asking for. So I feel like everyone should approach it like that, because you will never know what you can do until you are given the chance to do it. So not because it says, oh, a bachelor's, if you don't have a bachelor, you shouldn't apply. Because at the same time, after a few years or while you're there, you could start part-time going to school if you want. Opportunities always arise. So as Mr. John mentioned, you should just take it, just apply. You won't know until you apply. Like my mom told me. I told my mom, I said, no, I don't want to apply because I don't want to get rejected. She said, well, you won't be the first to be rejected. And if you get the job, you never know. So if you don't try, you will never know. So I just think that everyone should don't, limit yourself to say, well, I don't have a master's, so I'm not going to apply, or I don't have 5 years of experience, or just if you're interested in the work, if you want to learn, if you have the right attitude, you will get somewhere. So that's what I believe.
Thank you so much, Mr. Roberto and Ms. McFadden. And now we in Taiwan know that if we are considering going into the IT field in Belize, there are jobs available in our field. And this makes me happy, and I'm sure that whoever is viewing here in Taiwan or in Belize can now have that confidence that there are jobs available in this field. Now, I would like to ask Dr. Lionel, because I remember you shared in the past with us that you transitioned from like a lower level of teaching to high school, and now you're going into university teaching. For you in Taiwan, what were the challenges that you faced? Being that you are a foreigner and maybe there was some Chinese qualification required, or what are the key things that those of us in IT field should consider when we're going to apply for jobs in Taiwan?
Okay, yes. Well, usually when we are here, right, as Belizeans, we have the English speaking I would say plus, right? In the sense that we can communicate more than other, more eloquent and stuff like that. So we tend to kind of, do some teaching part-time, which actually is very beneficial to us. So I began like that during my university years. Then I applied to a private high school in Taipei, where I got the opportunity to teach for 3 years, right? And then in the case of getting an opportunity to teach at the university, it was a matter of, like I said, right? We always say there is good luck, but in my opinion, I believe it's being prepared for what Ms. McFadden said, right? You have to kind of apply, and then maybe your profile might fit what they need, right? You see? So I had the opportunity to invest in myself because I believe that you should invest in yourself every day, right? And there are many courses online that you can do, very cheap and even free. And if you have the time, you sit and you do at least 4 hours of it and you finish it. And this knowledge that is being gathered. And then when that opportunity comes along, then you can, and you put in your application form, then you might get the opportunity, right? And you might say, wow, is it the right time or the right place? So I always believe that you should do that. I always try to improve yourself every day, right? Get up to date with technology, right? And that's what I did. Actually, I completed a nine-month program in AI and machine learning, data science and business analytics. And with that, it actually complemented my doctorate degree. And that's what the university was looking for. And especially the AI and the machine learning part. And they offered me the opportunity to, to apply, to do my, interview, my demo. As you all know, here in Taiwan, it's not just about just getting into the position. You have to go through a lot of process, right, to be actually approved to get into the job, right? So it took me for almost a year to actually get into this job, right? So just to tell you how it is actually, right? So, but I'm just trying to, lay the ground that once you invest in yourself and the opportunity is out there, you will get the opportunity, right? You will get a chance to join that institution or that company. And that's how I managed to get into university now. I wasn't really thinking that I would be teaching in Taiwan at the university level, but I believe, that what our previous panels were saying, that you just apply, and if you have the requirements, you will get an opportunity. And that's my take on this. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for your responses. I believe we have another question here from our audience. Dr. Estefan?
Thank you, Mr. Castillo. My question has to do with the education system, and I'm talking about the primary and secondary level, both in Belize as well as Taiwan. I remember when I went to school, we were learning to type in the primary school level, but I remember one of my cousins, her daughter was learning to code at 8 years of age in Belize. So I was quite impressed to see that that's being embedded into that school's curriculum. So first, I'd open the floor to the panelists that are in Belize. How do you feel that the education system is adapting to the ever-changing and evolving IT community? Do you feel like we're doing enough in terms of keeping up? Or what recommendations would you give to improve that? Thank you.
It's quiet in here. I've sat on a couple committees that have had similar discussion on the educational system in Belize. I myself am surrounded by teachers. My mom was a teacher, my sisters are teacher, my wife is a teacher. So education is primary, is vital. And what we've learned here is that, and what we learn every day is that you need to apply from a young age. Right now, we know that the millennials or the youngsters, or however you want to call it, everybody goes to online stuff. I was listening today to a chat. They say if you want to go buy something, and you send a young person to buy it, what would be the first thing they do? They go online. You send an old folk like me, I want to go to the shop. That is where we're used to. So yes, we need this type of education to start from not really primary, but even before that. I know CITO has worked on teaching coding to infants, to primary school. I know that the curriculum is now being modified to include a lot of technical work and education. So I think we are heading in the right direction. We might not be going as fast as our neighbors, but indeed, I think we have moved. We have realized that it is needed, and we are not going to be left behind. Belize is going to move ahead, and I think, yes, it has to start from being young, from the youngsters, from the kids, because, man, my daughter, she has a phone from, uh, she has an even better phone than I do. She knows to do things that I don't even have time to do, because that's what they do. They sit, they learn, they get, they're inquisitive, and they're learning, and we are staying behind the older folks. So um, it is needed. It is being looked at, and I think even though we're going a little bit slow, we're still moving ahead.
Okay, thank
Like
you very
Mr.
much.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
As Mr. John has said also, I see there's a lot of change from when I went to school versus students now. We didn't learn type. We had a computer lab, and that was like upper standard 5 and standard 6. Then in high school, I learned typing with the typewriters. And then it just progressed that those typewriters are gone. And next time I visited the school, they're using laptops. And so like I somewhat get a bit jealous, like, why did they do this when I was there? Like, you know, but I like it because it shows that we're changing. And you might think that, okay, it's the same way since I've been there, but until you experience it, it's different. So everyone's adapting, even if it's slowly, it's very helpful. I've seen they had some coding camps that are targeted for girls or just students. They're not limiting you to when you could start. You could just come if you're interested. Come, you could learn to do something small, a little summer program, and then they have now the BHS and their robotics team that they're doing all of that. We never thought of these things like that. Belize would be doing it this time, right? But when they did all of that, we're like, we see that everything's changing, and even though we think it's slow, it's still happening, and it's sparking interest in other kids and everyone to, you know, look at it. Everything's moving in Belize. We're moving towards technology. We're changing slowly. And the technology, although parents may see it as, oh, they just want to be on social media and wasting time, the kids are learning things that the parents don't even know, and they can then teach the parents or the older folks to do things. And, you know, so they will surprise you, as kids always do, but in a sense that this would be very helpful for you later on. And then you feel more safe knowing that, hey, I know, my phone is broken. Call my niece, call my nephew, call somebody. There's somebody always to help you in the family, which was me. So I know that it's happening and it's good, even though we feel slow. Any change in that way is a good change. So even if there's not a lot of schools doing it and we're starting in high school, but we'll eventually progress and everything will be fine, and we'll catch up to, you know, all of those other countries that are doing the same thing. So I think we're good as how we are now. Thanks.
Okay, thank you very much. Before I go to my question, I believe we have one more here on the floor. Mr. Koya, can I give the floor to you?
Yes, thank you very much. My question is for the three panelists. I mean, the ones in Belize mostly. Sorry, Mr. Dale, I know. How would you tie information technology when it comes to, for example, like I'm from a health background. Lately, we had a program set up at the Northern Regional Hospital with imaging, with the X-ray department being digitalized. How do you guys play a role when it comes to working along with the Ministry of Health and other governments? Why I'm asking this is that just in an event we have students here that are actually thinking of other fields. How would you connect it? How would you connect your departments with the other departments or the other government departments? I don't know I'm clear.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Clear enough. Thank you very much for the question. Um, One of the key areas that our department is looking at is the sharing of data with all departments. This will give a better service to the clients. For example, Belize is in need of a national ID system. We have various systems or departments that require or that give out an ID card, but none, it's not consolidated, it's not unique. We have to be, it gives, um, there's a big margin of fraud that can be done because of things like these. A national ID would be something unique, would create a number from birth to death. Um, and it will allow you to be known through that ID. You would gain services easier. You would not have the need to be duplicating, replicating, getting different certificates from different areas. But for that to happen, you need to be able to share your data. You need to have all systems talking to each other. The health and wellness, the labor system, the immigration system, all of these need to be at a certain level where they can interact and share the necessary information to give a better service to our citizens. So indeed, even though we might be in eGov, we are looking at the different departments and seeing how best we can assist them with bringing them to that level where they can share their data, where they can give that better service, more efficient, more secure, and overall better to the citizens of our country.
Okay, thank you very much. My next question is geared to Mr. Neil. Mr. Neil, I know you have had various projects while being a student, and for maybe Belizeans that are currently thinking about coming to Taiwan or that are here, can you share some of those projects or opportunities and internships that you've done? Are they school specific? Are they provided strictly by your school? Are these projects open to different universities, or is it something you find independently, or how are they funded, etc.?
All right. Thank you for the question. That's a really good one. So I got to think about that for a couple of seconds. So the two projects that I worked on, the first one was sort of like on the school website, where it was called OpenCV. So what Microsoft would do is that they would, send their new idea, what they're creating, to different universities throughout the world, and they would ask you to come up with your plan. What would you do with this camera? And so basically that's where I came in, and I designed and outlined what we can do with it, which was object detection and counting people at the same time in an open door area, which is very difficult to do because you have to enhance the camera in terms of the background. So there's no white background, it's open. And that's the first project we did. We built a small robot and we called it Tiffany. Yeah, with AI in the middle. So that was one of our first projects that I did. And there's different stages that you would get to. And I think we were one of the 2 teams in Taiwan that got to stage 4, but we couldn't get to stage 5, which meaning that your project that's it, it's over. However, it was an interesting time when we did it. We did it in 2020, which COVID was kicking in. It was really difficult to move around. So this is where the part came in where I had my background in terms of a little bit of software and robotics, because I did that at my previous job also. And we both had to connect it. One guy is an hour away from my house and I'm at home, and we're just using our cameras to connect and build this device. He has his own and I have my own. And it was a great experience just doing it online because we couldn't move around in Taiwan. However, it did still work out. Eventually we could move around a little bit, and we tested it and it worked. And that was the end of that one. However, we decided to continue looking at what the school has to offer. And eventually, that's where I bridged from one of the project that I started with, because we had the code saved up. And I worked on, it's called MyYogi. It's a website, and I'll go a little bit deeper into that, where we contacted a yoga instructor and we asked her to help us out. We needed about 250 yoga images, and we processed that through an algorithm, and we connected with, I'm gonna try to move away from these technical terms, but we used an API called the Bose Place Estimation, where instead of detecting a 2D pose of your body, it does a 3D. So you can turn around, you can move, and it's still detecting your body. And we mapped out 18 points on the human body. There's more, but that's all we could do because that's all we had. And that's how we moved from that camera using pose detection to connect it to the 3D posed API that we had. And we, instead of putting it on an app, which is really difficult because of AI, there's a lot of process in that, we put it on a website. So it's a web application. And it's actually live right now. So you can hook up online, you can practice yoga at home. There's only 5 sequences. The reason being is that as sort of like one of the guy on our team, he's a kind of like a hacker. So we hack the system so we don't have to pay money to host it. So we're only using like $30 US a year to host it. So, I mean, that's part of studying, right? I mean, it's open there, everyone does it, but we don't have the resources. And from that project, I've actually, in terms of working together with a team, you understand what are the consequences, the issues you run into. And then we moved into joining different competitions, where we recently won, what was 2 weeks ago, I won one, it's in New Tolio. There's like at least 100 competitors in different categories, and I came in second. And that same day, that same weekend that I was there, we got an award that we're going to Silicon Valley this year. So when it comes to connecting students and the university, I think you have to look around, you have to look at the people that you're with. There's a lot that some schools offer. I'm really happy that my school has a lot of different areas that you can develop yourself. You can connect with different teams, your classmates. Nick, shout out to Nick, he's in the US, he's a really good teammate of mine. I have Luis also, Valor, and another guy from Paraguay, Andres. So we connected just basically being in class and learning how to work with each other and sharing ideas. I never did an internship in Taiwan per se, but I worked, like just after my master's degree, I went straight into work. But yeah, like I said, my university has a lot of those tech stuff. If you're into it, it's offered there. However, the system is a little bit different as a foreigner. So that might be a little bit of a struggle, but however, there's different offices that you can look around and they're gonna help you out. So stemming from building Tiffany to now jumping to MyYogi, which in with a 3-year period of time is sort of like you develop a lot of connection in terms of working with people, understanding where technology can go wrong, finding smart hacking ways to deal with it. And that's actually what most people do. If you're in university, to, again, cut costs, develop your own style of how you want your project to work. And I think the last part is just understanding the people that you're working with in terms of that. So yeah, that's about it.
Okay, thank you very much. Before we wrap up the segment, I believe we have one more question. Ms. Wagner?
Yes, my question was more towards Mr. Neil. I wanted him to elaborate a bit more about his work experience here in Taiwan. How did he find the job? And what are some of the cultural nuances that he had to navigate while working in that organization?
All right, that's another good one. So 4 years at VIA Technologies. The company has about, I think, 2,000 plus workers or more. There's only 10 foreigners. My boss was a foreigner, so it was a little bit easier for me to move around. However, he saw the potential where I'm very tech savvy, so he moved me with the engineers. So from the marketing department straight to the engineering department. And that's where the cultural shock would show up from time to time. But it wasn't something that I couldn't deal with, because I sort of like start learning how to speak Chinese a little bit, little by little, little by little. So if you can connect with the language, it will help you a lot. But of course, there's the differences in terms of having a foreign boss and having a Taiwanese boss. It might differ a little bit. So my boss was pretty relaxed in terms of what my project was about. Of course, he's serious what I'm doing. But when it comes to the Taiwanese traditional boss, they have their own style of doing it. And whenever I would approach a Taiwanese boss, I would make sure I have all my details intact, have all my questions that I need to ask. He also has his question he want to ask, and we move from there. When it comes to basic stuff like the simple stuff, let's start making coffee for each other, tea, going for lunch. So that's where I would try to speak in Chinese and try to connect with them one-on-one. And basically that's what most of my Taiwanese colleagues liked about me, because I could speak a little bit of Chinese, just enough for them to ask, hey, what do you want to eat? What do you want to drink? And then when it comes to work, I would always tell them, can you help me out with this? But can you tell me in Chinese so I can understand more? So whenever there's a new project, I have an idea what to do next. But I think try your best to blend in and at least get an understanding of the language helps a lot to move forward, especially if you're working with a group of engineers, because most of them they do speak English, but they would prefer you to speak a little bit of Chinese. That helps a lot. So I don't know if that helps.
Yeah. Yes, I believe Ms. Williams has a question. No, you don't? Okay. I think she was just looking into like how to compare and contrast the work environment. I don't know if you have experience working in Belize, what differences I think you elaborated on some, but she wanted to talk more about what happens in Belize in terms of your field. Or I don't know if you have a background working in Belize in IT, but.
Not in IT, but I work back home, but it's completely different, of course, like working with Belizeans, it's your culture. It's really easy to follow. You understand people right away. While with Taiwan, there's like that, how do I move forward? Do I tell him directly? Do I wait until we're having coffee or tea? So there's those moments where you're like, you got to wait for it. And I do my best to be respectful in that sense, where if someone doesn't know what to say, I would tell them, can you just say it in Chinese? Sometimes they wouldn't say directly to your face because they're either shy, or there's a problem with the product, or something went wrong, or there's a bug in the system. And there's multiple examples where it would, my boss would find out, and sometimes my boss would get a little bit upset, but he would sort of like be like, can you figure it out? And that's where I would use my Chinese and try to communicate and be like, here's the problem, this is what we need to do, this is how we get it done, and we move over from there. But sometimes in the working environment, and you'll only pick this up if you start working with most of the Taiwanese, is that sometimes they're not so direct, but there's ways of dealing with it. So one way I would deal with it is I would go make tea, and then we would chat a little bit, and we'd be like, oh, you remember that? Or like, yeah, so what happened there? And then we move on. Sort of like that. Yeah. You have to find your ways of getting around, I would say.
Okay, thank you very much. I believe we have a question at our Kunshan location. You can go ahead and ask the question. Those in Kunshan, you can go ahead and ask the question. Okay, in that case, I think I'll just open the floor to our panelists. Is there anything else you would like to add that we had not covered, or that you would like to mention before we end the segment? And this is open to all the panelists. Okay, if not, thank you very much
Sorry,
for
can you hear me
joining
now?
us. Yes, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. The question is for Miss Bianca McFadden or Mr. Rabatu. For those who have a degree, masters in for example, mechanical engineering, and they are fascinated in the IT field, and they know programming, they've taken programming courses, and they are really want to help build or go into the IT field, but with a mechanical background. How would that be for them? Was it possible, or would you recommend having other extra courses, for example?
Okay, good question. Indeed, it sounds like you already have a set of skills that is required, which is the development part. That is definitely required. In addition to that, it would be if you are interested in working with a team of developers, because using the agile and the Scrum teams, Scrum leader, etc., Scrum master, you will need to have other knowledge, but it can be shared with the people that are already in the field. Technically, I think Mr. Gonzalez mentioned it earlier. You don't know everything, and once you come into a field or a position, you are open, or you should be open to learn from others, as well as share what you have with others. Once you do that and come in with that mentality, you will gain, you will help your team, you will achieve your purpose, and you will move forward, and you will help your department, your surroundings, your heads, your colleagues to move ahead with you. So it is a nice feeling, just to share. But to your question, as with that mechanical background, indeed, I can see a couple courses that are free, can benefit also, and make you a full person for the job. But definitely, yes, you have a big part already that is required to be a developer, and which is coding.
Okay, thank you very much. And just a reminder to wrap up this segment to our viewers, as our panelists have mentioned, Belize is looking for software developers in both private and government entities, and this is both on the development and project management sectors. And as Mr. Neil mentioned, also in Taiwan, they are looking for more software developers as well. And like they all have mentioned, and Mr. Gonzalez has shown, that even if you are within the IT department, it does not mean that you strictly work within a company. You can go into the education aspect of it, or link other programs or fields as well. Like Mr. Neil also mentioned that he started with management and then got into the IT field. So if you are thinking or considering what program to do next, or where to go to further develop your professional life, I think this is a very helpful, now you have more knowledge on how to do so. So I would like to thank our panelists for being with us today. Ms. McFadden, Mr. Rabatu, Mr. Gonzalez, and Mr. Neil, thank you very much for your responses and for imparting your knowledge with us today. And with that, we're going to end the IT panel, and I will hand over now to Dr. Estefan for the next segment.
Thank you, Mr. Castillo, and thank you once again to the panelists. It was a pleasure seeing you virtually, and one delightful presence in person. On behalf of the steering committee and organizers, we're grateful for all the panelists, all the participants, all the sponsors. It would have not been possible with all of you present. And so for this closing session, we have prepared a couple of things for today and tomorrow. So I will be sharing some job finding tips in Taiwan with the crowd, and tomorrow one of our members will also be sharing some tips for Belize. So many people have asked, how has that transition been? From education, from getting your graduate studies to transitioning into the workforce in Taiwan. Has it been easy? Is there a language barrier? What channels are available in Taiwan? So if I may just share a brief presentation on what are the opportunities. So if you're looking for job opportunities in Taiwan, here are some tips to help you in your search. So obviously, the first and foremost, you have to know the job market. So like anything in life, you will research before you get into any project, into any endeavor, before you even marry your partner. You want to research that this is going to be the right field or person for you. So knowing the job market will help you not only to focus your efforts, but to also know in which direction you can gear towards. For example, if Mr. Neil wanted to do some sort of AI technology in Belize, the job market may be a bit limited. However, you need to know your setting and your environment. Secondly, while English, as we've seen, is the commonly used international business language, having basic knowledge in Mandarin Chinese will enhance your job prospects in Taiwan. So I encourage everyone to try to learn a little bit of Chinese during your free time, using the excuse 我的中文不好 is no longer accepted as much. Networking is probably one of the most valued fields or aspects, not only in Taiwan, but also in Belize. It's who you know. So try to establish connections during your university career. As Mr. Wade had mentioned earlier, a lot of the opportunities that he had obtained was through his professors. Likewise, during my time at the university, my professor actually was the one who helped me obtain my job. Another thing that we have in Taiwan, which is quite useful, are the online job portals. So for example, in Taiwan, have you heard of the 104 Job Bank or also the 1111 Human Resource Bank? They have an updated database where they're constantly posting their job openings. And so these platforms allow you to not only filter by job listing, but also by location, industry, and job type. If you have an Instagram page, if you have a Facebook page, I would highly encourage you to develop your professional page as well. And LinkedIn would be that platform. So make sure you keep it updated. I know a lot of people have approached me about wanting a job in Taiwan, and I asked them if they have an updated LinkedIn profile. And unfortunately, this is one of the gaps. Here in Taiwan, you're going to be looked up via LinkedIn. When you meet someone at an event and they hear your name, the first thing they're going to do is type your name in LinkedIn. So I would encourage you to keep it updated. If you're participating in forums like the one today, be sure to share it because this gives your presence more sort of robustness. Lastly, a lot of companies, they have their own websites, so make sure if you're interested in a particular field, for example, we had the information technology segment, and we know Taiwanese companies like ASUS and Acer, they have their websites as well. So be sure to check their pages directly, and you will always find a part of it where it says, grow your career or join us. And so that way you can directly see what job opportunities are there. And job fairs or forums like the one that you're in today also know what the requirements are in terms of work visa requirements. After you graduate, you can get what's called a job seeking ARC, which is valid for 6 months, and that can be renewed again after 6 months. And remember that finding a job takes time and effort. Stay persistent, tailor your applications to each position, and showcase your relevant skills and experience. And best of luck with your job search in Taiwan, Belize, or anywhere around the world. And for anyone that's interested, we have some pamphlets from Contact Taiwan. They actually do different events. So they do campus job fairs, career talks. They're also headhunters and recruiters. So please connect with them as well. And this is a very helpful tool. So with that, I'll hand over to my fellow steering committee members who are more than excited to share their experience with this career forum. So I'll hand over to Mr. Hector Cabranes.
Okay, hi, I am Hector, and firstly, want to apologize for the little bit of a mishap in the morning for the live. Something we didn't anticipate, as always with technology, but it got fixed, so now we're good to go again, and tomorrow we'll be back. As for me and my part, I found that being in Taiwan, one of the things that really brought me to where I am to get to know a lot of people as well was sports. I am not the fittest person in the world, but I don't play sports either. But thanks to Dale, also he told me, hey, we need to find a way to get the Belizeans together and manage the football team that we have for Copa America. And so passed the time, and I took upon it and did it for 4 or 5 years. Unluckily, we don't have it anymore, but we're still talking between the leaders of the groups to see what can be done about that. The reason is because sports in Taiwan is also a big thing, and we have many Belizeans that have the capacity to play basketball, football, soccer, football, even rugby. I heard that some guys are in the rugby teams and they're going further into that. So for my part, I guess it's if you come as a student or even if you're working, find time to join these kind of sports events, and you'll be able to make connections and have things like these happen. And lastly, for this next 2 weeks, I think there is a basketball tournament. So if somebody is interested that is here in Belize, please contact us or look on the Belize Taiwan Association Facebook page. There is a guy that is in charge of that. So, or yeah, he's actually here with us as well. So contact us and we will forward you the messages, and hopefully we get to win that tournament as well. 15,000, I think, yeah, 15,000 is the price. So good luck to the guys that are playing. So, and girls, yeah, they're also girls. So that's what I have to offer, and I'll pass it on to Myra.
I'd like to thank everyone for joining us today on our very first Belize Taiwan Career Forum, which was, I have to give most of the credits to the originator of the idea, Miss Melody Wagner, who is the president of the BTA. She first came to me with that idea, and we kind of talked about it a little bit, but we didn't delve deeper into it. We forgot, and then Lila came over to Melody and she said, hey, this should be a great idea for us to be able to help Belizeans. How can we help them do that transition from student to professional worker? How can we help them to facilitate their entry into the workforce? And so the girls started talking together, and then we formed this little group we called the steering committee, and here we are. It has become, Melody's dream has become a reality. So I'd like to please everyone in this room and everyone watching, please give a great applause to Melody. Yes, for me, it's a great pleasure to be able to highlight what Belizeans are doing for Belizeans, and that's why we use the hashtag Belizeans for Belizeans. If you ever want to use it, and it will come from this steering committee career forum. Use it and I hope that this forum has inspired you, at least for what has happened today, inspired you to keep asking questions. Please feel free to reach out to Belizeans, not only in Belize, but Belizeans in Taiwan, because trust us, we are here for you. We are here for you. And I know I have maybe no time left. It's already 12 p.m. But I'd like to share maybe 3 minutes of my experience working in Taiwan. Yes, I came to do a bachelor's degree via scholarship. I continued doing my master's degree in international affairs, paid for it myself. How did I pay for it? I became an English teacher, yes. And I have high respect for teachers because they work more than any other profession I know. And Trust me, I'm working in an office setting. Okay, so I would like to say, thanks to being a teacher, I was able to pay for the last year of my master's degree. And I wanted to be able to give back to Taiwan. And how I did that was I continued teaching and I continued immersing myself in the Taiwanese culture. And just to address one of the questions that Melody had regarding how do you face that culture shock, like those, how do you navigate via those cultural nuances? It's not easy when you are the only foreigner in your district and you don't know where to go shopping, you don't know who to speak with throughout your day, all your friends are in other cities. You face some sort of depression, yes. It's the reality. We have to face it. But there are people who are willing to help you go through it. You just need to reach out. And then what I did, I taught for 3 years until 2019. And then I said, you know what? I don't tired of work. And my boyfriend at that time, he was like, it's okay, you don't have to work, I can maintain you. So of course I took advantage of that ARC 6 months looking for a job. And there came an opportunity where I was going to teach only 1 hour and a half every day. And the only reason I was teaching 1 hour and a half every day is so I could buy my coffee. And that was my story. And then I was one day, one of the persons that I helped tutor the kids who now Amador has that job taken from me. Thanks, Amador. That lady said, you know what? Someone is looking for someone who can speak Spanish. So you guys out there, your language abilities, it doesn't have to be Chinese. It doesn't have to be you have to be proficient in Chinese. You're just brush up on your Creole and to make it into a proper English and use that Spanish ability. If you have it, use it to your advantage. And that's what got me my first Taiwanese career. I will tell you, it's not easy. You are sitting among people who are not used to having conversations. You come into the office and you're like, good morning, everybody. And you start saying a little gossip. No, it's straight into facing your computer. You want to speak to your coworker who is right beside you, you are using the computer to chat to them. You are using the LOL or the little emoticons. The culture is different. It does take some adapting, but you can do it. It's up to you how much you're willing to accept. But now I can say I have a job which I got through. Laila, thanks for sharing that. This company found me via LinkedIn, and I wasn't looking for a job. They found me via LinkedIn. They saw everything I posted, and trust me, it doesn't say I have a, well, it does say I was valedictorian for bachelor's, I was valedictorian for master's. It does say that, but they weren't focused on that. And you will find that the things, just like Hector said, you build your connections via sporting. So for me, it was my personality. My job approached me because of my personality. And I'm now a global regulatory compliance researcher. If you want to know about that, more about that, you can check my LinkedIn profile. Yes, and so what helped me have I can say the best job I've ever had in the world is my personality. And I'm grateful that I can have a comfortable life living in Taiwan with an APRC. I can share that more if you have any questions, but not today. Yes, so tomorrow, I want to implore everyone, feel free, just like we did with the last segment, raise your questions, because that's what we created this career forum for, you to raise your questions to the panelists. That's why we brought them together, so you can ask all the questions you have. Please join us tomorrow from 8 p.m. Taiwan time to 12 p.m. Sorry, I went over 6 minutes. And in Belize, please join us 6 p.m. your Saturday evening to 10 p.m. Is that it? Yes, thank you everyone for your time and for your participation in this wonderful first ever Belize Taiwan Career Forum. Thank you. And that's it.
Thank you very much to the coordinators for this event. Thank you very much to our viewers for joining us online. If you are watching on the live streams on YouTube, Facebook, or Instagram, thank you very much for joining us from Belize or Taiwan. Tomorrow, we encourage you to join us again and think of your questions. Tomorrow, we will be having the engineering, business and education panels. So please look over the pages to see who our panelists are and start thinking of your questions. Today was introduction, and you can see how the sessions work and what type of questions they're able to answer, or even if they didn't answer a question you had today, you can also still pose your questions to the pages and we will send them over to the panelists and get back to you after as well. And with that, we're going to end today's forum, and we will see you bright and early or in the evening back in Belize tomorrow. Have a good night and good day. Bye-bye.